Hey everybody. It's often said that the world needs a better mousetrap, and there are always people looking for ways to have a better mousetrap. Well, I've had some issues with mice, and what I thought I'd show you today is you don't need a better trap, you need a better bait. And you need to be able to keep mice out of your place. I'll start with the house here that I work out of. I've had for a few years, and I've had trouble with mice in the basement and in the garage with the Camaro. And so there's two things. One is you need to tighten up the house, and you need to tighten up the, like my garage, I had to put better seals in on the bottom of the garage doors and get things sealed up. Because a mouse can get through about a 1/4 inch slot that's about a 1/4 inch high, so you know, in the corners of your seals at your garage doors and so forth. And in the basement here where I have a shop, I had mice getting in frequently, and I saw that the previous owners had mouse baits out, so I kind of suspected. But I've been for several years going around and trying to close up the openings, and every time I could find one. And you know, every time I think I've got them out, I get more mice. So I've been surviving on mouse traps with a technique that I've been using for a good 35 years, where I mean, if you live in a rural area, and I had a previous house where I stored my boat and in the garage, and mice found ways to get in there, and I needed to clear them out. What was frustrating, and I use these standard, this is a Victor, one of these old spring style traps. And I'll tell you, when I started in this other house, I put cheese on them, and the cheese would disappear, and those traps didn't get tripped. And I tried putting peanut butter on them, and the peanut butter would disappear. Then one day I discovered they had been getting into my basement in that house, and I found where, and I closed it up. But they were getting into a bag of sunflower seeds and dragging the sunflower seeds away. So that gave me an idea, and I got one of these traps with the peanut butter, and I stuck a bunch of seeds in the peanut butter. Well, I came back a couple days later, and the seeds had been sucked right out of the peanut butter. The peanut butter was still there, and the seeds were gone, and there were little holes in it. So that kind of got me upset. And what I ended up doing was getting rid of the peanut butter, baiting it with sunflower seeds, and then smearing the sunflower seeds with peanut butter. And I'm going to show you how that works in just a minute. Because you get out your glue gun and you glue those seeds to it, and I'll show you what that looks like. In the meantime, in this place, I tried to get some of that decon so I could also put some poison out, and I found out it's gone. You can't get it anymore. It's I don't know, something, it got regulated out of existence, I guess, because it was too dangerous. So now you can buy these little bait stations with bait inside. I've got this one opened up, and the challenge I've had is that you've got the bait in here, and this one looks like something got inside and chewed on it a little bit. There's a little bit taken off of it. But I've never had a mouse just die after eating that. I mean, I don't think they eat enough long enough that I haven't had any, this hasn't worked. But I'll tell you, as I say, I'm going to show you how I do this, but I've got a number of these in my basement, and they're just like, they're very, very, very effective. And I managed to keep the mice pretty well cleared out. Now, in my case, I said I've been working for 2 or 3, 4 years, and I've been closing up holes, and every time I think I have it closed up, I leave my mouse traps out, and whoop, now I'll pick up another one or two. They don't ever get upstairs. I get them. I catch them in the basement before they get upstairs and get into anything. Just as a fine point, this house had an addition put on it, and I think I finally got it. It's been this winter. I've been about 4 months now with no mice. My traps are staying empty. There's a crawl space under the addition, and I went in around in that crawl space. It's only about a foot and a half or so. It's pretty short crawling. And I went around looking and I couldn't find any spaces. But what I found was, and when I got off into one of the corners, there were spider webs. And you'd go, hey, spider webs? So what? Well, I had just crawled through the whole crawl space and there were no spider webs. I mean, spiders have to eat, right? So a spider needs food. And so they build their webs where, something's going to end up in the web and they can eat it, right? Well, so I got off in this corner and there's spider webs. So obviously there's something going on, that they're getting airflow and there's something coming through. And I found that I actually had to go on, I couldn't find it on the inside. I went on the outside of the house and got a mirror and got up underneath the siding and found that where they had put the buildings together, there was about a 1/4 inch slot where the sill plate for the wall, the sill plate wasn't all the way down on the top of the concrete block in a little area. And that's where the air was coming that made the spiders happy. And I got up in there with some expanding foam and sealed that off. And I haven't had any more mice since, so that maybe is my last hole. I mean, they say it's been several months. In the meantime, I have literally a dozen traps around the basement and in the crawl space where there were traffic patterns, and if there are mice, these traps pick them up. So anyway, I've got the glue gun warmed up, and I'm going to go around and I'm going to show you how to set one of these up. And like I say, this has been the best method of catching mice, because what you'll find is that the mice will be clamped right onto one of these sunflower seeds. Sometimes you'll find the sunflower seeds are chewed up after the trap is flipped, and you get a mouse. Its friends will come and sometimes eat the bait off, but you'll almost always find a mouse in the trap. So anyway, I'll show you and we'll see how it goes. So this really isn't too hard. There are a few things to be careful. One is, glue guns are hot and you kind of don't want to get this on your fingers. But if you get your glue gun warmed up, you get a little pile of sunflower seeds, and I've got way more than I need. But just apply a dab of glue to the end of the seed and stick it up in the air just like that. And come around here again, dab of glue on the end, watch your fingers, and put that on there and let it, you end up kind of a little forest of these guys. The glue's a little hot, so it can burn you, or it'll certainly hurt when you do it, if you get it on your fingers. Sometimes I'll wear gloves, it just helps protect. But for right now, that's a pretty good dose. I'll do one more here. That'll work. I'll stick it in here in the corner. So then you end up with that, and you give that just a minute for the glue to solidify. So now you got a little forest of these things, and then I've just got a little bag of peanut butter. Rather than dipping in the jar all the time, I just keep a little bag of that around, and then I think it'll work without the peanut butter, but it always seems to me that a little smear of that on here provides a little bit of attraction to them. And you set that guy just like you normally would, like so, and then put these up against the wall. You can put them along the wall, but it's better if you've got enough room, and I've got a little ledge on my basement. I can set them up like that, and then because they tend to like to run alongside the wall. And my thought, it seems like the peanut butter has a good smell to it and it kind of attracts them. But those seeds, a lot of times you'll find them clamped onto one of those seeds. They can't get it off the trigger, and they'll grab a hold of it and try to yank. And it's been very, very effective. I can really clear them out. Well, that's how you do it. And then, put the traps out, like around the perimeter of the basement, or around the perimeter of wherever they're getting in. I've got a couple, I keep some out in the garage yet to pick up stragglers, because I don't want them getting in the Camaro and getting into the car or getting into the boats. And so I keep a couple traps out there. But since I got the garage doors sealed up, they had eaten the seals at the corners. I haven't had any more out there, and my traps have stayed baited and empty, and no evidence of mice. So if you're having mouse troubles, give that a try and see how you like it.